We finally have an update on the drowning death of Malcolm-Jamal Warner. Now, according to ABC7, they stated that Malcolm-Jamal Warner had drowned while he was on vacation in Costa Rica. Now, the article goes on to say that Warner had drowned off the coast of Costa Rica on Sunday.
It's fragile, and in the blink of an eye,
You never know.
you never know. So speaking of legacy, what do you hope that your legacy is going to be?
There is part of me that I will be able to leave this earth, knowing and people knowing that I was a good person.
Something you long believed to be true but realized wasn't.
Well, as one of the main opponents of the Illuminati, I always wanted to know what information they had that we did.
Katt Williams been saying it loud for years. If you don't bow down to Hollywood's script, especially as a black man, they'll cut you off and toss you to the side like trash. And when you look at Malcolm-Jamal Warner's journey, it all makes sense now. This man wasn't chasing headlines or begging for roles just to stay relevant. He wasn't out here playing a clown for a check. He straight up refused to wear a dress or play some watered-down, goofy character just to get airtime. He stood on business, said no to the disrespect. And what did they do? They benched him. Not because he didn't have the talent, he had it all.
These are the first things we saw when we pulled up to the beach. Signs in Spanish and English warning people about potentially hazardous conditions. This sign even giving a roadmap for how to escape a rip current.
But because he wouldn't play their twisted little game. And now that he's gone, suddenly they're calling him a legend. Now celebrities want to act like they've been rocking with him since day one. Man, stop it. Where was all that praise when he was alive? Where were the tributes, the interviews, the headlines then? When he was out here grinding, creating real work on his own terms, with no machine behind him. The fake love is loud now, but the silence back then was even louder. This ain't about some wild conspiracy theory. It's about a pattern that keeps repeating, and folks are finally starting to connect the dots.
Rican Beach, where officials say a dangerous rip current swept away Malcolm-Jamal Warner, the Cosby Show star, drowning in secluded paradise on Sunday.
What makes that beach so treacherous?
It's similar to other beaches where there are strong rip currents that are deceiving.
Mike Geist helps run a volunteer lifeguard organization here. He says while no lifeguards were on duty that day, Geist's friend, who happens to be a trained lifeguard, was there to surf and discovered Warner unresponsive in the water. Costa Rica's Red Cross says they were able to rescue another man alive who was taken to a clinic in critical condition.
Rica, Jesse, officials say Warner's autopsy is now complete.
It was completed this morning, according to authorities, Tom, and they say that it confirmed that Warner's drowning death was, in fact, an accident.
Katt Williams been sounding the alarm, warning everyone about how this industry really moves. Say no to the machine, you get locked out, blacklisted, erased from the spotlight like you never existed. So now, we gotta take a hard look at everything Katt's been exposing and what Malcolm-Jamal Warner truly stood for. Why did the flowers only come after he was gone? Why was the praise silent when he was alive and fighting to represent black men with strength and dignity? Malcolm, the man who gave us Theo Huxtable on The Cosby Show, tragically passed away on July 20th, 2025. The whole thing is just heartbreaking. He was vacationing in Lamont, Costa Rica, spending time with his 8-year-old daughter. They went swimming, not knowing they were stepping into one of the most dangerous rip currents in that area. That beach is notorious for rough waters, and on that day, no lifeguards, none. Authorities had apparently shifted them to other nearby spots after a string of recent emergencies. Some local surfers noticed the struggle in the water, Malcolm and his daughter both fighting to survive. One surfer rushed in and was able to rescue the little girl just in time. Another dove back into the water, trying desperately to get to Malcolm. But the ocean had already turned deadly. By the time emergency responders made it to the scene, it was already too late. Malcolm was gone. He died from asphyxia by submersion, just like that. The surfer who tried to save him rushed to the hospital in critical condition. It was confirmed later by the autopsy. No foul play, just a devastating accident that ripped through hearts everywhere. And this hit people hard because Malcolm wasn't just another former child star. He didn't spiral out, he didn't chase attention, and he damn sure didn't crash and burn like so many others in the game.
So even before conception, we were very clear we were having a girl. And I knew that I needed a girl first to kind of ease me into it because I have a pretty good idea of what kind of father I would be. So I needed a girl to kind of, slow me down and warm, soften me up, if you will. So for me, raising my daughter, I came into fatherhood already with a certain maturity and certain understanding of male-female dynamics. And with a girl, all of that starts with the father. So I've always, since I literally pulled her out of...
He stayed solid. No scandals, no mugshots, no drama, just legacy. Malcolm built his life brick by brick. Self-made multimillionaire, Emmy-nominated actor, Grammy-winning musician, published poet, and a respected director with real vision. Not to mention his voice in activism, Malcolm stood for something. While Hollywood was busy with the next viral disaster, he stayed focused, clean, and full of purpose. You don't see that kind of discipline in this industry anymore. Not like that. He was married, solid, and drama-free. No messy divorces, no cheating headlines, just a proud father raising his child in peace, far away from the chaos. Everybody who ever crossed paths with him only had love to speak, not because he was perfect, but because he was real, grounded, confident, a man who didn't fake it for nobody, and just like that, gone. In the blink of an eye. At 54, healthy, strong, on a dream vacation with his little girl. It's not just tragic, it's shocking. It still don't feel real. The saddest thing about Malcolm's story, it ended way too soon. But the way he lived, man, he crushed it. He walked through this world with purpose, with class, with soul. But let's keep it real. There's a part of this story that most people scared to say out loud. The way Hollywood completely overlooked him while he was alive. It wasn't by accident, and everything Katt Williams has been screaming for years, this is exactly what he was talking about. Malcolm didn't fall off, he didn't fade into the background, he didn't lose his talent or get lazy, he just refused to play Hollywood's dirty little game. After the Cosby Show, he had options. He could have jumped on those flashy sitcoms, played the fool, danced for cameras just to keep the checks rolling in. But he said, nah, he wasn't about to clown himself for airtime. He turned down roles that made black men look ridiculous, loud, goofy, clueless, no wigs, no dresses, no embarrassing stunts for cheap laughs. He wanted to uplift, not mock.
There should be a moratorium on both of those words in hip hop because it's low-lying fruit, it's so easy, everybody fucking does it to the point that it's corny. Like there are MCs who I love, who I cannot listen to anymore because I love J. Cole. But I had to stop listening to J. Cole because I got tired of hearing nigga and bitch
as much
every two sentences because he's proven himself to be such a incredible lyricist
that you think it's just too low-hanging fruit for him to use those words.
I feel like
Malcolm was moving with integrity, quiet, purposeful, dignified. He was building a legacy without having to sell out. And that's where Katt Williams comes back into the picture. He's been yelling this same message from the rooftop, screaming about how the industry punishes any black man who won't bow down or play the puppet. And now, Malcolm's story is the proof. Through interviews, stand-up sets, and every podcast he touched, Katt Williams been pulling back the curtain. He exposed how black entertainers get boxed in, told to play their role just to move up. You want success? Then you gotta act the fool. But Katt wasn't with it. He turned down the clown suits, the ridiculous roles, the loud, over-the-top garbage they love to hand out. And guess what? They didn't like that. So they slapped every label they could on him. Crazy, hard to work with, unstable. All because he wouldn't tap dance for their approval. Same thing with Malcolm. That man was sharp, focused, and overflowing with talent.
I spent, so much of the early part of my life listening to being celebrated on one hand, but paying way too much attention to the nation.
But since he didn't bow down or play that shuck and jive game in front of the camera, they pushed him out the spotlight. But here's the twist. He didn't need him. Malcolm was out here building his own path and living well. He launched a podcast called Not All Hood, where he boldly called out how mainstream media keeps feeding folks one-dimensional stereotypes, like all black people act the same. And instead of chasing that fake Hollywood love, Malcolm stayed true to his mission. He used his platform to shine a light on truth. He produced plays, documentaries, and projects centered on real issues, Black history, social justice, systemic racism, the stuff that actually matters. And in 2021, he took it even further. Malcolm dropped an op-ed for the Television Academy that called them out directly. He said it plain: white executives, producers, writers, and directors are still the ones controlling how black people get shown on TV. He had the guts to say what so many were too scared to even whisper. Malcolm said it straight. Even when it looks like black creatives are finally getting power, it's all smoke and mirrors, a distraction. The same tired stereotypes still get pushed, just wrapped in better outfits and bigger paychecks. And he didn't stop there. Malcolm went after the entire state of modern rap and hip hop too. He called out the misogyny, the toxic masculinity, the fake flexing, and he did it unapologetically. He wasn't here for the hype. He was pushing for healing, accountability, real growth in the culture. That's a man who stood on business and stood on principle.
Just make choices. I think it's not a biggest choice for others. I'm saying at the end of the day, Kevin doesn't have to worry about what people are going to say about him wearing a dress because of the long line of dress wearing people before him. So now we had Big Mama's house 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
I've never seen Medea in a pantsuit. I think she wears dresses. So now I'm saying, why are we picking on poor little Kevin Hart? Because it was his turn next.
Okay.
Some of us are against the Illuminati, and we are against the Illuminati at our own detriment. When people are against the Illuminati, then they get punched in the face all the time. The press hates them, and nobody likes them. End quote.
We all love Dave Chappelle.
Exactly. Dave Chappelle has never been a part of the Illuminati. They don't want him or me or people like us.
Some folks thought he was being too deep or too intense, like he should just lighten up, but Malcolm didn't care. When that Kendrick versus Drake showdown broke the internet last year, guess who didn't sit quiet? Malcolm! He went on record saying hip-hop only gets major attention when it's tearing people down, never when it's empowering or conscious. He wasn't trying to play industry politics. He was just keeping it real. And that's why Katt Williams' message hits so hard. When he says the industry only loves you when they control your story, this is what he's talking about. Malcolm wasn't out here acting like some cartoon version of a black man. He wasn't trying to fit in their little box. He wanted to show the truth, that we're intelligent, layered, human. But no matter how real he kept it, people kept trying to shrink him down. They wanted Malcolm locked into that washed-up teen heartthrob box or playing the goofy sidekick in somebody else's spotlight. But he wasn't going for it. He turned down roles that could have made him richer, more famous, but would have cost him his dignity. Meanwhile, other black actors from his generation, they were blowing up, signing on for the same stereotypical roles Malcolm walked away from.
Title is combating the narrative of black life, black culture that the media focuses on. And
that we're all one thing.
Yeah, and the whole concept is, we're not all hood. The black community is not a monolith.
Some of them leaned all the way in, chasing fame, diving headfirst into the industry's playbook. And yeah, for some it worked. They got their flowers, but Malcolm, that was never his lane. He stayed real, and it came at a price. He spoke on it in interviews too, said folks on his own team told him he was too serious, not marketable. Translation, too black, too smart, too principled. And when you don't fit their mold, they stop calling, the roles disappear, the invitations dry up. That's exactly what Katt Williams has been screaming about for years. If you don't act the fool or sign up for the humiliation circus, they straight up erase you. But now that Malcolm's gone, suddenly Hollywood and the media want to act brand new, like he was their golden boy all along.
Has never been a person that has been parodied 9 times on Saturday Night Live and yet never been invited other than me. I, at this point, take it as a badge of honor that they don't fuck with me. A lot of times when people are doing an impression of you, they're really showing you how they feel about you. You know what I mean? So for Saturday Night Live to have an impression of me and have a woman do that means they think I'm a bitch. And I understand that that's what they're saying when they do that. I understand how the game goes, and I understand that if you love me, I know why you do. And if you don't with me, I understand.
Social media's flooded with tributes. Journalists writing think pieces calling him a pioneer, a legend. Streaming platforms hyping up unreleased projects tied to his name. Celebs sharing emotional stories like they were tight for years. But where was all this energy when he was alive? Where was the love then? Malcolm didn't chase clout. He didn't sell his soul for a trophy. That's why the big award shows barely mentioned him. Media outlets gave him crumbs. Now suddenly, he's the safe black legend they can all celebrate without feeling uncomfortable.
How people feel about the ritual. It's about just following the ritual work. Yeah. And so you can fool yourself into thinking there isn't one, but the evidence will be clear. So like when I be like, oh, these guys are wearing dresses. Everybody's like, oh, he keeps talking about people wearing dresses. No, it's not. It's a weird thing. It's not like that. Look at it from a different way. Look at it. Show me one person that ever wore a dress in Hollywood unsuccessfully.
But real ones know he was that guy before the tributes. He just didn't need their validation to prove it. Now he can't speak for himself. And suddenly, everybody wants to give him his flowers. That's right out of Hollywood's tired old playbook. They don't honor people who stand tall while they're still breathing. They wait until it's safe, until they can repackage your image into a brand, slap some hashtags on it, collect their little woke points, and cash out on your legacy without ever standing with you when it counted.
Which, you know, they talk about how much they hate each other and give all these references to violence and that sort of stuff. Yeah. Do you think, even though we enjoy those songs and they're bops, do you think that has a detrimental impact upon the culture ultimately?
Ultimately, yes. It's been normalized for, you know, us to call ourselves the N-word, right? And we like to talk about how we've taken the power of that word back. But I'm of the school of thought. If I'm trying to speak love and upliftment to my brother, why am I going to borrow a word from people who use the word because they hate me? But we get caught up in, oh, well, we're turning the N-word into a positive. But our music is not reflecting positivity, love, and upliftment of our culture. And we're at a point now where so much of our, especially our music, so much of our Black music, when you strip away the music and just listen to the lyrics, so much of our Black music is really anti-Black.
Oh, you think so?
When you think about it, think of, you know, I mean, you almost cannot have hip hop without talking about drugs, using the N-word, and murking somebody. Right. You know, or calling a female, you know, a bitch or a hoe. Like that's become we've normalized that so much that I think we need a space where we can say, wait a minute, that's not all who we.
Katt Williams called this mess out years ago. He said it loud. The system only puts a spotlight on you when they're in control, when you can't clap back, when the story is theirs to shape. So let's keep it all the way real. Is this love for Malcolm genuine, or just another Hollywood cleanup job after the fact? Because Malcolm didn't fold. He didn't sell out. And that's exactly why they sidelined him. He wasn't quiet because he wasn't talented. He was quiet because he wasn't controllable. Malcolm-Jamal Warner was never just some celebrity. He was one of the rare ones, grounded, brilliant, and built on values in an industry that runs on illusion. While others were chasing likes and clout, Malcolm moved with purpose. And because of that, they looked the other way, until now. His passing ain't just heartbreaking, it's a wake-up call. How many times do we see someone walk through the fires of Hollywood with integrity and still get erased? How many legends gotta die before they're truly seen? Now it's your turn to speak. Was Malcolm really pushed to the side for staying real? Why does it always take a tragedy before someone gets their respect? Drop your thoughts in the comments, we're watching them all. And if this hit home for you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. I'll catch you in the next one.